It is 7 o'clock and I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
And the notice is that we're going to break it up in two parts. The Tuxedo Club continuation of the public hearing for the Tuxedo Club, 1 West Lake Road, Tuxedo Park, New York. Tax map 107-1-3-2 regarding sound levels and seeking relief from the following sections of the Village of Tuxedo Park zoning code. Zoning code 100-18A, fences, no fence shall be over 2 foot 6 inches in height and shall be erected without the building permit and the approval of the Board of Architectural Review in accordance with Article 8 of this chapter. Any fence erected in the front yard shall not exceed 4 feet in height. Any fence erected in the rear or side yards may not exceed 6 feet in height. No fence shall be located closer than 5 feet to any roadway or closer than 2 feet to any property line. Notwithstanding the foregoing, no fence shall be erected, maintained, which shall interfere or interferes with the light or air of an adjoining lot or building thereof. Where in this application, the maximum permitted fence height in the rear and side yards is 6 feet. Pre-existing fence was 10 feet and 4 13-foot high fence sections have been constructed. I'd like to reopen the public hearing and I would then have the applicant present.
Good evening. For not being present with you at your last meeting. Thank you for your indulgence and continuum. I'm Michael Sussman. I represent the club, and I have made a written submission through your council, which I believe was circulated. Both sides have made submissions. I don't want to be redundant. I want to share a few basic points.
Maybe you should use the mic.
Yeah, sure.
Turn it on?
Yes.
Is that better?
That's better.
Thank you. The experienced building inspector made an informed decision to permit the pedal for knowing dimensions and qualities. The courts were built in broad daylight. No one timely challenged its allowance, which of course was the required remedy for anyone offended by his use of discretion afforded him. Any such challenge, in my view, is now untimely. The courts exist. The building inspector's decision, moreover, was rational, given, as you just read that provision, the lack of any adverse externalities associated with the size of the fence. We know where this is located. We know it's located distant from any roadway. We know it's located distant from any property owner. And the issues which are implicated by the provision you read relate to such externalities. They don't relate to a situation like this. Moreover, there is no evidence, though there's been a lot of discussion about it, of a noise disturbance. The noise study we presented, this confirms the conclusion. However, in consideration of the concerns raised and in light of my client's history of fitting in and advancing community values, we are prepared to add sound deadening, batting, and fencing to the existing tennis court fence next to the padel court, as well as additional tree planting at a cost of approximately $24,000. We believe this should resolve any perceived issue and offer further aesthetic consideration to those concerns. Mrs. St. John momentarily will provide you some more detail as to that, so you have it. In my view, in light of the statutory purpose, as we discussed a few moments ago, the variance sought is minor. It poses no aesthetic harm or otherwise. It is required because a fence of the height sought is an essential element or component of a padel court, which now does exist and creates no issue for anyone. I believe those who oppose this fasten on to the magnitude of the variance, but in my view, understood holistically, it is minor and functionally appropriate. Replacing a tennis court on the same profile with the Padel Court does not define an expansion of use in my view. My esteemed colleague, who I've known for many years, Mr. Lynch, suggests otherwise, but I believe cites distinguishable case law. There is no intensification of any non-conforming use here, and the minimal differences between the racket sports makes any such conclusion unsustainable and strained. If one looks at cases cited, you'll see expansions of use, which are meant to functionally expand whatever the productive activity then going on was, not a replacement of one by like activity. The statutory factors which apply to area, not use, variance of supply, as I've explained in my submission, which I won't repeat, favor this application. I want to say only one final word, and I don't mean it to be preachy, but I do believe that it should inform conversation. I recognize from my career and 50 years of advocacy, and we live in a culture which is characterized at this point by oppositionality, not cooperation. Disturbance rather than conciliation is pervasive. Respectfully, this board, I believe, should accept the mitigation we're proposing tonight in a spirit of cooperation to assist those who have raised the issue. The club has long been a good neighbor in this community, as evidenced by the withdrawal of the request for lighting of the courts so as to minimize any new impact might be experienced by its offer here tonight. Thank you for your opportunity to present. I would, as I mentioned, like to have Mr. St. John come up for a moment and explain the mitigation efforts, since he's much more familiar with the property than mine.
So we've identified a product called AcoustiBlock. And it is basically, from a distance, looks like a tennis screen or a wind screen, which are currently on all the courts and have been forever. It's a much denser, heavier material used specifically for racket sports, pickleball, and basketball from it. It is the entire length of the fence, the height of the fence, which is approximately 10 feet. It will go in 4 sections: a 15-foot section, a 53-foot section, a 60-foot section, and a 15-foot section that are currently on what we call our tennis court 2 and 3. We think that this will be as inobtrusive as possible visually and match the current look of the courts as closely as we can, but provide significant dampening for any sound that may be escaping from the courts.
Do you have a cut sheet of it?
I do. I don't have it with me, Jake. I can email it to you, Bill.
Would you spell that? I couldn't understand. What's it called? AcoustiBlock?
AKOUSTICBLON. You have a picture? Help.
Well, that's a good name. It's one with C though. Looks a little more like C.
So this would be the product that you intend to use, and this drawing here is how you do. No, I think we should make a copy of this and enter this into the record.
Absolutely. You might want to give everybody a copy.
Right, yeah, could you make a copy of
And it
that?
says in there, the other thing I should say is that it attaches to the existing fence and hangs off it, so there's no other structure that needs to be added to support it.
Can we ask questions? Can we ask questions?
What?
Can we ask?
Yeah, sure.
Has your acoustician studied this with regards to the proximity of the Mashans and other people who have complained about noise to determine whether this does indeed mitigate noise coming from the Padel court?
Studies on this product have shown it mitigates noise coming from padel and pickleball courts.
But the acoustician that you had hired,
No.
that they folded it into their review?
No, we did not have the sound study piece. Thank you.
Attorney.
Anyone else want to be heard? Well,
Well, I'm sure there are other people who want to be heard, but if you raised your hand first, then you can speak.
Chairperson, members of the board, thank you very much, Dennis Lynch, for my client who are present here tonight. I always take to heart what Mr. Sussman says because he's a fantastic attorney. And what he said tonight about collaboration and not being oppositional, that's the first time I've heard that, and we welcome that. And if there is going to be some type of mitigation, whether it's trees or some type of material there, I think it behooves the board to find out what that is. One of the members of the board raised the question about, the studies or impact, and come back between now and the next BZA meeting with a plan. What's the plan on the shrubbery? What's the plan on this? What's the plan on that? We welcome mitigating efforts, but to come tonight at the last minute and present something which I would say is somewhat amorphous, and especially because a letter was just handed up, which we don't have a copy yet, but even if we get a copy tonight, I need time to take a look at it. So I'm not suggesting that we just postpone things for the sake of postponing, but I think if there are going to be mitigation measures once it's done, we should see those in black and white. We should see them in drawings. They should be submitted. And certainly, I think that might go a long way to try to resolve this. I assume everybody here on the board has gotten a copy of my letter from last week. I made sure that we got it early because I know one of the board members was concerned before. So I'm not going to repeat everything in there. The night is long. But just a few points that Mr. Sussman made. Number one, we have never seen a quote decision by John Ledwick. We foiled the papers. We looked at the documents. We never saw a quote decision. And certainly if we saw that, we could take action, but we haven't seen that. Now, if there's some decision somewhere that we haven't seen, I would ask that be produced. We can take a look at it. The other points that Mr. Sussman raised, I think I've addressed them in my letter to the board. No permit application for the Padel Court, no decision on the permit application for the Padel Court. We raised the other issues about the ARB not being involved, the construction that is construction, the disturbance of the soil. I mean, I know this board and this village is very concerned about environmental issues, and I think that the construction has brought about issues that have to be looked at. So not to belabor the time, we respect you as volunteers being here, but I certainly think that my letter sets forth our position. And again, if there's something that's going to be new, that's going to make a difference and may actually resolve it, I think it's incumbent upon the board to adjourn the meeting tonight, give us a chance to review it. I'm happy to speak with Mr. Sussman. He's always a pleasure to speak with. And we can try to resolve it if we can. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak at this time?
Thank you. My name is Stephanie Windsor. I speak as a private resident, not in relation to the BAR, where I work sometimes. I would urge people, if something should be found, to please consider the wildlife. I've been on the board of New York City's Wildlife Fund for 9 years, and I know what glass does to birds. Every broken neck of every daddy cardinal will cause all the nestlings to starve to death. Would anyone like to enjoy paddle court with that in mind? I already know that dead birds are found within these glass walls that no bird can possibly see. And I think it's just so cruel. It's paddleboard or whatever you call it, paddle court is to do with enjoying yourself in nature, a sporting activity with your friends and having fun. I think you can have fun in nature without glass walls and without crucifying your neighbors with this sound. If it was me, I would just take the thing down and play tennis. It's like everyone does. It's fun. We don't need another fad. We don't need to kill wildlife for a fad. America used to have a parrot. It's now extinct because women in the 19th century thought they looked prettier with a green feather on their hat. That's what we're doing here. We're destroying these birds for a fad. In one region in Spain where paddle courts have been introduced, 75,000 birds were counted dead in one season. So there are many more than you think. And I'd really I beg you to consider it, because many of the residents that are paying taxes here come here because of the beauty of the nature, that people love listening to the birds and the silence. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Any other comments?
So online.
I'd like to comment. Hi, Chrissy Corridor, 81 Lorillard. And we've been members of the club for 8 years. We've been across the street for 8 years. We're not big rackets people. We're recently introduced to tennis and to padel. But I will say that in the summer, there's no more joyous sound to us than sitting outside on our patio and listening to tennis balls and listening to padel balls and listening to children and listening to people having fun. We actually sit outside at night and we listen to it, and we set up our dinner out there, and we just love it. And it's part of summer for us and part of the noise of summer. And also one of the reasons we chose to live across the street from a tennis club and from a pool. There are a lot of different places to live in Tuxedo Park. And if you choose to live across from a club and a tennis club and a pool, those are the noises. We find it joyous. That was our choice. And, we're in huge support. Again, we're not big rackets players, but it's just a fun sound. It's summer for us. And so we're in complete favor and complete support.
Anyone else?
Robert Lopez. My wife and I are residents at 75 Summit Road, just above the club. Residents for 5 years now, and members also for 5 years. Couldn't agree more with Ms. Crawford and those residents that the padel courts, since they've been installed, have increased the fabric of the community, the members of the club. It's been an incredible experience, a great time in the summer, and a great experience overall in bringing more of the residents of the club. And I couldn't agree more that if you do live near the club, you should expect there to be a little bit more traffic. You should expect there to be a little bit more noise. If you live near a pool, that's kind of one of the aspects of it happening. And so I think that, we drive by it every single day. And it's been a great addition to the overall community, to the club. And I couldn't agree more with Ms. Crawford in her statement. So thank you very much, and appreciate it.
I guess I have a question for Randy. The proposal and the estimate for acoustic block, is this what you intend to do? Everything that's in this and the drawing that shows where you're going to be placing it, that is the intent.
That's the intent, and then that's the existing fence for the current court 2 and 3. And in terms of the tree plan question, right along, we've had Every plan to replace I think it was 5 trees we took down, a couple were dead, a couple were drainage issues, whatever it might have been, but we've always had that plan, and we're actually working on the species plan right now to do probably late September, because obviously
It's not-
we're not
Right.
planting trees right now, but the plan would be to do those in late September.
Now, this material, is this material available?
Yes,
How soon could something like this be installed?
if this process is approved, I'll place the order tomorrow. So I don't know exactly how long it will take, but I can place the order tomorrow.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you want everybody to finish first, I guess.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just like, it sounds like a good idea, but what if it doesn't prevent the sound that we're getting? We don't get a lovely, little tennis sound. We get a gunshot sound round the clock. So what if it doesn't prevent the
This
sound?
material does take the decibels down. I mean, I'm familiar with this material.
Okay.
It does take the decibels down. To say how much it comes down, I can't tell. And until you put it up, you're really not going to be able to.
And
But it does
well,
lessen the
Well,
noise.
no, I'm familiar with the material too. And it is a matter of how it's placed. It's a matter of contours of the land, trees, wind, exposure, lots of things that I'm not an expert to make a determination, and certainly not on the spot. It requires an acoustician, or you're not taking this seriously enough. That's just a fact.
You mean to install it and
To
then have.
just throw it out on the table and ask us to look at it right here and now
Oh, yeah. we
and
can't.
believe what the applicant is saying without hearing an independent scientist, acoustician say, yes, this will work under these conditions to mitigate the Marchand's sound issue. The other person who came last time who said she can hear it,
Guathme.
Guathme.
She's
etc.
way up a valley.
Yeah. It
The
just
higher
doesn't
up
seem
the
fair.
more it carries.
Right.
We can swear to that.
And
We're
look,
also.
from the beginning,
We're higher.
I have
Really
said,
farther away.
No, we're.
from the beginning, I have,
Yeah.
Quiet.
All right,
from the
this-
beginning,
this-
I have said that if we can properly mitigate this, that is the way to make everyone happy. I have asked, practically begged, that we do a study. Let the experts decide this. And you're not, it doesn't sound like anybody wants to if they want to install this tomorrow.
There's a few folks that have their hands raised on the Zoom.
If somebody else wants to talk.
Mr. Singh in quarter.
Who else was,
Can you guys hear me?
okay.
Hi, everyone. Dhruv Singh, 37 Fox Hill. I just want to say that I myself have been a tennis player for 35 years. And I've certainly played padel a few times, but I've probably played tennis 10 times for every time I play padel. And just want to add to some of the sentiments here where having the life, the energy, watching kids learn to play racket sports, it's so much easier to pick it up. Bringing so many members of the community that, I mean, tennis is just, it's a pretty challenging game. And it's something where it makes it difficult to get started. And, from my perspective, I think this just really rounds out our rackets program and sports and offerings and, having such life and such vibrance brought into the community. I thought Ms. Crawford said it so well that it really brings energy a handful of months a year. And I'm a huge proponent of the padel courts, which, by the way, as described by council, really are a near identical use, right? You're taking one racket sport and putting in another racket sport. But I do think at the same time, it adds so much to the community beyond just having yet another tennis court there. And this is just coming from someone who, again, plays much more tennis than padel. But I'm a big fan of it.
Can I respond to that? I would like it across from your house too, okay? then I wouldn't have to
But
listen.
what I would say
And
is
it
that
played into
there was a tennis
December.
court already across from your house, is my point, right? So the
Yeah, and we've
reality
never
is that
complained
there were
about that.
already there, but this gives you an opportunity to. But the reality is that if you could have the other tennis courts replaced, right? Because
We can't have back and forth going.
Okay, well, I'm just
You
saying.
you can't have back and forth, please.
Nothing like
He's
tennis.
entitled to his opinion.
Yeah, you're entitled to.
5 years, we've never complained about tennis. It's a different sound. It's a gunshot, loud popping sound that goes into December around the clock. Come hear it.
I'm gonna have to call for order,
Yeah.
really. I'm gonna have to call for order,
Oh, you said no back and forth, okay?
Okay.
You had your opportunity to speak before.
and someone is waiting to speak.
Hi, Chandra Reddy Mesler. I live at 15 Clubhouse Road Extension, which puts me almost back to back with Ms. Guafney, who I understand spoke at the last meeting. So I would just like to add a slightly different angle to this conversation. So I'm sympathetic to the neighbors and the noise. I mean, I sit in my house on Sundays and I can hear the music from the pool. For sure, it's not my favorite music, so I often turn on other music. But what I would add to this conversation in support of the club putting in the courts or maintaining the courts is that we all benefit as neighbors to the club from having a healthy club. And my understanding is that membership has been on a downtrend. And I do see when I tell my friends in New York City that we have padel, they're very peaked. I understand that it's a faddish trend and it's kind of trendy right now, but I do think it's definitely a sport that's here to stay. And I think it will attract new members to the club. And I think we all benefit from having a healthy, robust club membership. And so I just wanted to add that sentiment. But I also appreciate the sound concerns because I am neighbors with Ms. Guapney and I can hear it, but there's trade-offs as with everything. Thank you.
May I ask Randy something? Randy, we got a lot of emails, the board, from Lindsay Maxwell about trees. Is that part of your plan or was that his own plan? I didn't quite get it.
Mr. Maxwell is on our landscaping committee. He has taken it upon himself. I received those late this afternoon, right before this meeting. I haven't looked at. We will look at those within the landscape committee as well as our superintendent, who has responsibility for all plantings, but we're still developing the plan at this point. We have a list of species, obviously, that will, be within the code of the park, but we don't have a finalized plan yet. He's just adding and supporting it.
That's right. And about with that corner in particular near that intersection, you could reduce, in theory, 5 to 7 decibels with a careful set of plantings. And so there's an idea that could combine, the official buffer plus some plantings to achieve a goal.
May I also say, we've been at this for 2 years almost. And why 2 years later are we getting these suggestions at the last minute?
I can't speak to his timing. I received it today, okay, but we have always contended that we would wait till the project was done in the destruction, as well as we were doing some other work on the exterior of the tennis building last year, repairs to the roof and so on. So that's why we didn't do them last year. Those are now substantially complete, and the plan is to do them at the end of this September, the tree plantings.
But I guess the problem we have is we really don't know specifically. All we can really have is a commitment from you to provide additional landscaping at this point, but it would be undefined.
I think Mr. Porter has his hand up.
Great, thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, first of all, to the members of the BZA, thank you for your service, right? I know you're acting in the best interest of our community, so thank you for that. My wife, Chrissy, spoke. I just want to say one quick thing. It's padel. It's wildly popular in our community, right? Wildly popular. And it's a gentle sport. Right? It's underhand. People of all ages can play. My daughter, who's 8 years old, plays. Her grandparents play. It's a very gentle sport. And it's been around since 1969. So I agree with Chandra. It's not going anywhere, right? And I know for a fact that it's attracting new families to our community. So I would just urge and respectfully request the board to take all this into consideration, right? And again, I want to thank you guys for your service and anyway, we're here to help out in any way we can.
Where's he?
Any other comments from the public?
I'm hearing that there's been communications by the club members or someone from the club about trees to board members. Those communications have never been revealed, never been, to my knowledge, made part of the official record.
They have not been. They're only letters that have come in, okay?
But
That's
they
it.
will be part
They'll
of
be
the
part
official
of the
record.
official record.
And they just came in, and so obviously they'll be part of the record and you would have access to them.
Well,
They're just, we
before a
just got
decision's
them.
made. What I'm trying to find out is that, you've heard many things, and what I heard from the chairman kind of concerns me about, well, we'll build it and then let them build it and then see what the impacts are.
I don't think the chairman actually said we'll let them build it
Well,
and
excuse me.
then.
There was a discussion by the chairman about only if it's built will we know the impact, in words of that substance. So I'm saying that's the.
Well, that's the match.
It's the antithesis of, to me, proper land use. You get all the facts up front, even things like the trees, not just the trees and bushes, but what's going to be the maintenance plan? I mean, that's one of the critical things. How are they going to maintain it? What if it's planted and dies within a couple of years? All I'm saying is that with all this new information, there's no reason to rush into a decision tonight.
We've been at this for 2 years.
Sorry?
Okay, we've been at this for 2 years. We're
This is
gonna
the
move,
first
we're
time
gonna
I've
move
heard
forward. We're gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward.
mitigation.
We've been at this for 2 years. We're gonna move forward.
You may have, but I think it's unfair. I think it's improper. I think it's illegal.
And what if it doesn't do the mitigation that it's supposed to?
We can't have this back and forth, all right? You had your opportunity to speak, all right?
Well,
Jim?
this is new to us too, so.
I respect what everybody has said here tonight. And there are obviously two opposing camps. But the solution, the problem is not that people want to destroy Padel in this community. That is not the problem. Everybody supports Padel in this community. Everybody wants a Padel court. But the problem is where it's placed. And it's placed in a neighborhood where there are at least 6 immediate neighbors who have hired lawyers, who've come before this board again and again to object to the noise. It's not just the Marchands. It's the Chungs across the street. They hired a lawyer. This was a year ago. This has been going on for a long time. The problem is either it gets mitigated or you move it. And the club has plenty of places they can put it. They could put it down near the golf club, and people could play Padel before breakfast and then go in the club and have breakfast. They could play Padel in the morning and go in and have lunch. They could have drinks. They could do whatever they want. Years ago, the club put a paddle court over here with these other tennis courts. There was strong objection from the neighbors. Objection to the point where a lawsuit was threatened. The club moved the paddle courts down to where the golf course is now and where the paddle courts are now. That's a perfectly appropriate place to put it. It would be out of the jurisdiction of this board, and you could do whatever you wanted.
Karen, do you want to say something, or are you just joining the meeting? I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
In favor? Aye. All right, board discussion.
So I was very curious about the sound study that showed in effect no difference in noise level between tennis and padel, which seemed very at odds with what some of the folks have said. Between the last BZA and this one, I've been over 15 times, standing at where Antio, Westlake Stable, and Westlake Road basically right below the Marchands, and tried to listen for myself to see what I could hear. On 8 of those occasions, no one was playing padel, so it was a very so I could hear people playing tennis, but I couldn't hear anyone play padel. When people were playing both padel and tennis, and this would be on courts 1, 2, or 3. Again, it's not scientific, but you could tell the difference between the two shots, but there seemed to be no difference in terms of actual decibels. Cars were much louder, airplanes were much louder, wind was louder. When I was there, when the music was coming from the pool, the music coming from the pool was much louder. And to me, it made it that the switch to Patel seemed to be much less impactful from a noise perspective than what some folks have claimed. Now, if you had very aggressive tennis players playing, the sound is louder. If you have aggressive padel players, the sound is louder, but I did not see a meaningful difference. I also wanted to understand, based on comments around dusk to dawn, what the actual usage of. I think one or both courts were used in the month of June, slightly less an average than 3 hours a day.
Are you saying that they were both in use?
One or both. In other
Okay.
words, a sound would have been coming from them.
Okay.
All right, well, first off, number one.
I would like to say something about the noise. This is from Bath, England. The padel courts were dropped from Bath Sports ground plan after Chinese water torture warning. There is still nowhere to play the sport in Bath. The Bath and Northeast Somerset Council turned down its own planning committee over concern about the noise of the 4 planned padel courts, which one councillor said would be like Chinese water torture for neighbors. And they also said, the planning committee said the gunfire-like noise of the game would harm neighbors' mental health and turn the plan down. One councillor warned that the noise would be close to meeting the World Health Organization definition of seriously annoying. That's sort of British. Seriously annoying.
Well, first off, I'd like to say that I'm glad we're not talking about the lights anymore. All right. And we're talking about a zoning issue, and we're talking about character of the court itself and the noise that the noise, and that goes to the character court. And we're also talking about the fences, which obviously it seems no one really has a big concern about the fences themselves. As Campbell, I observed multiple times. I put myself in the position up on the where that dirt road comes in by the Marchands, and when tennis is being played at the court, which is a closer proximity to the Marchands, and padel is being played, the tennis is noisier than the padel. All right, and I've witnessed this 3 times. Another thing is that if you go online, you put in how far should a padel court be from a residential property. Kind of the criteria is 100 meters. Okay, if you go online, it's 100 meters, and the Marchand's property is 157 meters away.
Where's that information from?
Well, you go online, and
It's from the Padel magazine.
Padel magazine, but go online, go open my thing,
that's hardly-
open my thing and put in that. It's from the Dutch, from UK, and it's 100 meters is the goal.
I'd like to rely more on professionals who do this for a living, that have done research and made models
Right, well,
and are advising people with science than all of this conjecture.
but the one sound study we have, which did have a monitoring location that was below the Marchands, but not that far away, had that there was no difference between tennis and padel
Well, this
in terms
sound
of
study
decibel sound.
says that interpretation of the data was flawed and construed to put a different conclusion together that was in favor. That's what, if you read this, you could easily make that determination. And I would have liked for the two acousticians, well, initially, I thought it was my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'm glad you're here so we can read what was said before. But I thought we decided when you were going to go for a vote, Jake, and then you said, no, it sounds like everyone is very concerned with the sound. Let's do a study. Did we not say that the club offered right then and there to do the study? And I think you, Elise, was like, no, I think we should perform the study. We all agreed that we as the independent body here would be performing the study. I asked if we could be involved in what kind of criteria is set to make a study. All of that was completely ignored. The next thing we see is a study that was made by the club. Tell me if I'm wrong, but that's how I saw that meeting go down and the subsequent action. So, I'm glad the Marchands or, their lawyer, whoever advised them to get another. And then now, this isn't even being talked about. It's as
That's
if
really
there's
not a-
no
That's
other
not really a
study.
sound study. It's a critique of a sound study.
But that is useful information here.
Right.
If the sound study made by the club, it looks flawed to another expert in the field, what am I supposed to think about that if I've got to make a determination? Because I was gung-ho about a sound study saying you can mitigate the sound by doing X, Y, and Z. I was happy to vote and let everybody be happy about it. That's my goal here still. But again, you don't have a comment. There's no comment you're going to give me that's going to satisfy me enough to feel like this
Well, I
was
know that.
done. Gosh, I'm grateful that I didn't hear that. I guess I'll read that later. Another thing I want to say, having been on the Board of Trustees and the BAR and the Planning Board and spent 20 years here trying to do my civic duty, I know that the club, despite being an entity of many people, is an entity of one with regards to how they are treated on boards. So is a single family residence. It's an entity of one. And it's great that there are supporters of this coming here and expressing their opinion. It's great to hear it. But coming in masses doesn't change the fact that you are an entity of one. And I'm not a member of the club. I've enjoyed the fact that the club is here and may or may not add vibrancy to the community. I think nature and peace and quiet adds a value and a vibrancy to the community. But when members stand up and say that we're all happy, you're ignoring people that live here that aren't members of the club. And that's some kind of discrimination. I don't know if it's civil rights or not, but it's some kind of consideration. I'm not finished, but I'll remember you raised your hand. So I'm trying very hard to make the right kind of decision that makes everybody happy. And I'm not there yet because we don't have all the facts yet. That's my opinion. And I think if we make and force a vote right now, that it just doesn't feel like we've turned over every stone to do right by not just the Marchands, but any neighbor that has a valid complaint. And I believe they do because it's not been proven that they don't. And I'm not going to gaslight any resident of Tuxedo Park to say I've stood there and heard it and I don't think it's noisy. I don't think that's fair.
And may I point out that there are 5 immediate neighbors who have complained, in case you've probably heard of these people, the Hennessy's, the Chungs who came here to meetings, the Holtz Lambs, Pat Gauby, Ann Gwathmey, and Chris Hansen even complained about the noise of the parties at the Padel. Now, these are direct neighbors, and they're
Those
complaining.
complaints were when the lights were going in.
Not, they all
No,
complained
they all
about,
referenced
they
noise.
all talked about the noise, Jake. I'm sorry, they did. I have these letters from them.
And
Yes,
you
they didn't
make
like the
reference
lights,
to the
but-
fence height. And please, someone here tell me if this is not a correct assumption to make. But the variance, if we're only talking about the fence, which is a stretch because it is a wall, but the height of it, without a variance on the height, the padel court can't exist and you can't play. Like, so that, doesn't that bring into play the idea that it's undesirable because of the noise, the nuisance of noise?
Well, isn't that what we're talking about?
Yes. So your comment about everyone's talking about noise, but not talking about the fence, they're intertwined.
Well, the two go, I mean, the variance is on the fence.
But you can't make a decision about the
Because that
fence
goes, because the
without
character of the
considering
court goes
everything.
to noise. Okay, so,
Right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Mark?
Well, for starters, and I read all the submissions from both parties, and I've lived in the park for 5 years now. I do not find that the Tuxedo Club is a non-conforming use. And even if it was considered a pre-existing non-conforming use, I don't believe the replacement of the lawn tennis with padel is a material change in the use. They're both racket sports. Padel courts were not placed in a different location on the lot. I've had the opportunity on numerous occasions to walk my dogs by the padel courts, and I did not find any difference between any noise from hitting tennis balls versus the padel. No competing noise study was submitted other than to counter the club's study. I did listen to the video. It was placed on such a high volume that the bird chirping was hurting my eyes hurting my ears when we were listening to it in the room. So I couldn't give much weight to that based on the volume that was played before the board. We're really here. The BZA has the authority to consider the height variance, and I don't think it's substantial, and I haven't heard anything really an objection. I think it's a standard variance, and I don't believe any material changes made. I did have the opportunity to research the different case law that was cited, and I don't believe that they're pertinent to this situation. Non-conforming uses, the cases that were cited, they're seeking, if it's non-conforming and you make a change to it, they're seeking to get rid of the use and put them back to the original approved use. And I don't think anyone is going to be sitting here tonight stating that because I don't find that there is a material change, but even if there was a finding of material change, I don't think that anyone is going to say that the tennis pavilion or the tennis courts or padel courts should be turned into a residential home. So, if you read the cases that were cited, that was the goal in mind and challenging the non-conforming uses. So I think I made it pretty clear, my evaluation of the application before BZA tonight.
Yeah, there's another person in the audience, Jake, if you want to.
The meeting has been closed.
Public hearing has been closed.
Public hearing has been closed. No, you can't speak.
You can speak, but it will not be considered part of the record. It's completely up to the chair.
No, at this point,
Okay.
no, at least they're moving on. And as I look at it, I know that Charlotte disagrees, but, the acoustic block is a material that will cut decibels down, all right, being placed where it's placed. Now, I don't want to get into like, let's put it up, let's then do a sound study afterwards. I would like to move forward with this, all right? And I think the board is ready to vote.
You would like to what?
Move forward, and I think the board is ready to vote.
So I'm not ready to vote, but you
Well,
are the
Mr.
chairman.
Chairman, you need to go through the 5 factors. I
Okay,
know a lot of it has already been discussed, but perhaps for the record, you could.
well, that's what we're gonna do here.
By the way,
I think you, yeah.
I mean, there have been statements that the club was not pre-existing non-conforming because it wasn't deemed pre-existing non-conforming. That's not an accurate statement. The club existed before zoning. And there's specific code, 100-24 point, that basically says it's grandfathered, right? The only way it would not be grandfathered is if the courts were put somewhere else. And I think I haven't heard anybody say that the Padel courts were put somewhere else other than where the tennis court was. I think the board needs to also, because there have been comments that Padel is a change of use. I think the court needs to decide whether they believe that Padel is a change of use from tennis. You might want to discuss that as well when you're going through the 5 factors. Okay.
Well, should we move on those beforehand?
I think that's not a bad idea. So just to limit the initial questions, we don't have to talk about pre-existing non-conforming because it's as a matter of law. But there have been allegations that this is a new use and not a grandfathered use. And I think the board might want to discuss that and vote on that because that's a threshold issue in terms of expansion of a non-conforming use.
I'd like to, how you want to move forward, how is it best to move forward with that as a
I would
vote?
discuss that as right now as an interpretation of the code.
I mean, clearly a racket sport, we have squash, we have tennis, we have rackets, all right? To me, it's another racket sport, so there's not, to me, there's certainly not a change in use.
I would agree. It's, in my opinion, the replacement of lawn tennis with a padel is not a material change in use. Both are racket sports, and based on the fact that padel courts were not placed in a different location, I don't think it should be an issue.
Okay.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay. So why don't we take a quick vote on that? Something we can kind of all agree on. Might be a good start. So you'll call for a motion that it's not.
I'll call for a motion that the padel is not a change of use. All in favor?
Aye.
Did someone second?
Second.
Okay. All right, great. Now you can get into the
Low hanging fruit.
Now you should get into the actual variance itself.
Okay, whether an undesirable change will be reduced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of an area variance. Now, we obviously have a lot of different opinions about this. The noise is a character, but as I said before, the distance from the Padel court to the Marchands is 157 meters. There are no other homes that are less than 100 meters. Even Teddy Wings is slightly less than 100 meters. The Padel courts are in the same area. The lights were withdrawn. The height variance on the fence is not really a significant issue. and personally observation of the sound by myself personally, and I know Mark has that same feeling, and so does Campbell. Now, I'm sure there are others that want to chime in on this.
Just the other part of the noise that I was, do the courts cause there to be more noise other than just the hitting of the racket, right? Is there more crowd noise? And I think, again, based on my observations, that was not the case. I think the first month the courts were put up, there was a lot of buzz and there was a lot more spectating. I think over the past year, I believe there's been no more spectator noise or player noise from padel than there is from lawn tennis.
Is that it for character? Who else has something to say about character?
Detriment to the neighborhood?
Mhm.
Well, we've not established to my satisfaction that there is not a noise issue. And so made that clear. There may also be an issue with regards to a surface. Is the surface of Padel different than the tennis court that was there before? The wall is certainly different than the fence that was there before. I've also already stated that the height of it is tied to the function of the game. So therein lies my objection to the height, because we've not gotten to the bottom of whether this will be acceptable for a sound in the neighborhood. Now, the distances that you're talking about, I wish someone that was more expert, or that you could cite more expertise behind those distances. But distance, if you knew enough about acoustical science, that is a factor, but not the only one. So it is a detriment to the neighborhood. So the one entity, the club, is creating a detriment to 6 entities that are nearby that object to the noise.
Yes, I agree with that. As I told you, the names of the people who complained, direct neighbors, and some very important people in the olden days, like the Hennessy's and the Chungs, who came twice, the Holtzlams, Pat Garvey, Ann Gwathmey, and Chris Hansen. He complained about the noise of the party, I think, mainly parties at Padel. But that's a lot of people. And just because.
Well, I disagree with you. I think most of those were not on the basis of noise. They were on the basis of the lights.
No, I don't agree with you.
Well, and then we have a different opinion.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. But
I
I'll
mean, you
show
could go
my-
back into the records and look, but most
I
of them
will.
were on the basis of.
The noise is also something that is of a concern, I would think, and this is only my personal opinion on the matter, but if there really is truly a noise nuisance that neighbors feel that have lived here before Padel was put in. So those who said that, you have to accept that you're going to hear noise from a tennis court, and it's established in lots of conjectural online information, but also an acoustician is saying so, that it's different. The Marchands and these other complainants had no idea that their government would let Padel be built so close to their house and create potentially material damage to the value of their houses.
The only noise study that was submitted in the application was submitted by the club. I do live diagonally across the street from the club. And I did make personal observations, and yes, I hear the pool, and actually Sunday night when I come home, I like listening to the band or the guitarist playing, but I purchased a house across the street diagonally from the club, and the pool and the tennis courts. But the only study that was submitted in this application was submitted by the club.
I do think it's very disrespectful to not read it and understand what the Marchands have presented, because they paid for an assessment of the study. The data is not necessarily wrong. It's lacking, but there's no reason to throw out data. The acoustician that the club hired, perfectly respectable outfit. I know them. I know Trinity. I know Cerami. It's just not sufficient to get to the root of the problem.
All right, moving on. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant could be achieved by some other feasible fragment for the purpose other than the area variance. I mean, only if they had put the court someplace else. Okay, that would be,
Well, they have the luxury of that option.
well, that would be after the
Hayes
fact,
pointed out.
after it was already built, so.
I don't know that that matters, does it? How much does that matter?
And it was sort of built in the dark of the night.
Not really. It was, oh, that is.
In the middle of the winter
Okay, come on.
with no,
Come
with
on.
no neighbor,
Please.
no neighbors were told about this, were they? No, there was no notice of neighbors.
No.
I mean, no permit, no nothing.
That all happened before this came to us, okay? All right, what went
Well-
on beforehand really, yeah, it was, but it didn't come to us until it was already built.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, didn't come to us until it was already built.
But is that an appropriate statement to make that we can't move it because it's already here?
No, of course not.
No, it's not.
Court could not grant the height variance,
Right, we could not.
and
Fair.
you have that
Right.
authority.
We could not grant variance.
So
It
that's
is, it's correct.
closer to
Right.
at least being illustrative to the problem here.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial. The perimeter fence is 6 feet. The old tennis fence was 10 feet. The Dell fence at the high points is 13 feet. So there was a 7-foot variance. But there really is only a 30% variance from what the height of the old fences were. So I don't, yes, it's substantial, but I don't think it's overly substantial where we could not grant it.
Also, the area of the fence around the padel is smaller than the area of the fence around a tennis court.
Right.
And just for the record, when they mentioned the location, whether the location of the court could be placed in a different location, just for the record, I would say it obviously makes sense to have the padel court with the tennis and in the vicinity of the tennis pavilion, especially since it's placed in the exact location of a pre-existing court. And as far as the height of the fence, as was just stated, it's a minuscule, lesser, there's a, that's what variances are for, and I don't think the variance is very substantial that is being requested on this application.
Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
Excuse me, yes.
The combined area of the paddle courts is smaller than the tennis court. And it's less on a physical, and obviously, there, have been noise concerns.
Excuse me. Yeah, Stephanie Rinza mentioned the bird kills. She worries a lot about birds. And so I think that's an adverse environmental effect. And the second one is that whatever the surface, and I don't know what it is, of the padel court has water running off it much more than a lawn tennis court. And apparently it's going into pond 3 and then the Weewa, and it's because of the composition of the court floor.
Is there evidence of that? I would just ask.
What?
I've not heard any evidence of that.
Evidence of that.
Was one of these wonderful pieces of paper we got.
No one remembers reading that?
It's in here. Yeah, it was mentioned. I don't know if it was by Sussman about the excess water.
I don't doubt
on
if
the
it would
court.
be. Yeah.
We
Because of,
supplied that information based upon
I guess they never read
experts
it.
and we rest on
No,
that.
no, guess that. Just
Yeah.
how thorough is this?
I mean, I've never seen it.
Environmental.
Yeah,
It's a height variance and whether,
Yeah.
no matter how you,
But he's
It's-
going on beyond the height variance,
well,
haven't you?
well, the board is rightly considering noise impact as far as character.
Using what?
That's-
Sorry.
As far as character of the neighborhood, that's perfectly within your purview to do that, and you should do that, and you did do that, right? The allegations that there's going to be stormwater runoff and it's gonna be greater, that has nothing to do with the fence height. And that is something this goes to the bar, right?
The bar.
I think that goes to the bar and, the bar can deal with that issue as they should. And it's also a type 2 action under seeker. So that's, by its very nature, considered, for this board, a height variance is a type 2 action. So that under seeker is considered not to have a significant impact on the environment.
and then last is whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but should not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. Every one basically is self-created, all right, so. I would like to make a motion to,
The final factor here, I don't mean to interrupt, Mr. Chairman, but
It's clearly self-created and without consideration even in how this has been presented in this past year I've been on this board, without a lot of respect to the neighbors. And I find that shameful.
I would like to make a motion to,
do you wish to? Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the variance.
Motion to approve, I think we should discuss mitigation because he's.
Right, and well, that is part of it too, and with the mitigation, acoustical attenuation that is provided in this proposal from Acoustablock, which will be installed on the fence laterally to the Padel Court, and will make this part of the record.
You made that motion?
And I would like to make that motion. Second. All approved.
What about the trees while you're at it?
The trees, there isn't anything substantive that they're presenting right now with the trees. All we have is we have a commitment from them to review the trees and to plant trees in the fall. And that will be part of the record, that there will be tree planting in the fall.
As a condition.
As a condition.
And have the trees watered.
Right.
That's the most amorphous condition I've ever heard.
I don't believe it's
like-
amorphous at all. It was made very clear the
Yeah.
number of trees, we've been very clear the number, where they would be. very clear the
Recommended
impact
by
on
whom?
This came
By
tonight
whom?
without
Where?
a drawing,
What?
without any indication. Are you going to make sure that, may I just finish, please?
Next.
Without a drawing, without any indication how it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Mr.
no.
Speaker, no, you're done. You're done.
Well,
Okay,
Mr.
no, you're
Sussman
done.
spoke. I have the right to speak also.
No, you
Well,
don't.
Mr. Sussman should
we
not
agree
have,
we spoke,
nobody
we
should have
done.
spoken.
We're
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah,
should have
The meeting's
spoken.
enclosed. The public meeting is enclosed. Okay.
What kind of?
We asked him in the regard on the trees. It was a specific question in regard to the approval.
So there's a second condition as to the trees.
Right.
So,
Well, we don't have a definitive on the trees, so we just really would put in there that tree planting will occur in the fall.
We could be, if we say they would replace the equivalent number of trees that were taken down to construct the court, we could probably
No,
do
it
that.
has to be many more.
It does not have to be, no, it doesn't.
Yes, to stop the sound, isn't the
that,
idea?
that is up to the board. If the board feels that more trees of a certain caliber should be planted in addition to the ones that were replaced, it's completely up to the board. As long as you just don't go overboard. You know what I'm saying? So.
To me, it would be reasonable to ask the club to replace the trees that they took down in the construction of the court.
Can that be deferred to the bar, who's very concerned about trees and tree
Absolutely.
placement?
Absolutely.
I
You
don't
could
know.
defer it, or you could, yes, you could defer it, or you could make sure they replace what they took down, and then the bar has every right to set their own conditions.
Right.
Right, but would they be going to the bar?
They're going to the bar, right?
Yeah, they would have to go to the
What?
bar. They would have to go to the bar.
It's a
Because of the
visible
physical
difference.
change to the property regarding the fence at a minimum.
Okay.
But excuse me.
You may grant a variance for the height of the fence. In doing that, the bar would still have the power to review that. If you don't grant the variance for the fence, then the bar really has nothing to review.
So we can include the acoustic block in the proposal and let the bar decide on any additional landscaping that may be required.
That's fine.
Board, yes.
And what enforcement mechanism should be discussed here?
What would be a condition of the approval?
Right, if they, so are you asking if they don't put the sound attenuation up?
Or if they let the trees die again?
Well, if you're not gonna make them plant trees, if you did, then you would also require maintenance bond for the trees, right? If you don't and allow that to go to the bar, then the bar can set the conditions.
Enforcement conditions
And,
there.
right, and
Yeah,
as.
I would let it go to the bar and let the bar,
But
because then they could give a drawing to the bar where they're putting the trees.
But excuse me, this is going to help people like the Chungs who don't live, who live directly across from the club itself. I mean, there are other people who are complaining about the noise. You don't
Right.
seem to understand that.
So that should have been here then.
So we would
They've
just
been
have
here
the
for
condition
two-
of
they were here for
the
2
fence.
years.
I would recommend to have evergreen trees, the number that were removed be placed as a border to be the plan of which would be subject, to bar approval.
Okay.
All right,
That-
so this way, at least we're actually referencing what needs to be done, that we're saying they need to replace evergreen trees, the number along the border that they removed, the specifics, and obviously the specifics as far as maintaining them and whether a bond would be required for the maintenance, we'd leave up to the
Yeah,
bar.
I wouldn't specify evergreen.
Right,
I
okay,
would say whatever.
trees were removed.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second condition would be replace the trees that were removed with evergreen trees.
Or I would not specify evergreen
Okay, with
with
replace-
comparable trees. I mean,
But with an intention of mitigating noise.
Yeah, that would be fun.
okay, replace the trees that were removed. Intend,
To mitigate.
intention is mitigation, sound. And at
And to be,
discretion of BAR
or maintaining or
with a maintenance bond with,
Well, that would be the BAR to
whatever,
determine.
yeah,
Yes,
so
I-
leave it, I would
as,
leave it.
as approved by the BAO.
as approved.
Approved by the-
Couldn't require them to seek acoustician's advice to do so, or is that their process?
That would be their process.
That would be their process. Yeah, they would,
But so they could if they wanted to.
well, I'm not their attorney, but I
Yeah.
assume that they could.
Yep.
Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second, did we have a vote?
Yeah, we did. 3-2.
3-2. All right, it'll take me a little while to draft this, which I will then circulate for the board to review. And if I've left anything out. Okay. All right.
Do we vote on the height?
Yeah, you granted it a 7-foot variance, correct?
Right.
Well, a 7-foot variance was granted.
That's what you were voting.
You didn't, but we did. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. No, oh, that's good.
It's really been.
Farley?
I'm familiar. I was here.
He was here at the last conversation with Farley.
No, he has to
Dave, right?
come.
You were here for the last conversation with the Farley? Yeah.
Okay.
No, no. I don't want to step in if I'm the old.
I mean, whatever you think.
You can
is right.
see here the alternate.
Of course, you can stay as the alternate.
Okay.
In case, I don't know, somebody decides, I've had enough and quits before they.
Okay.
Which may happen at any moment.
I can't stand the
Are we
heat.
still on this case or a new case?
No, we're on a new
This is
case. We're on a new case.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Give my reporter a second, she'll wrap up and get out of it. That's okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right.
So this is.
Okay.
Can I just get tissue? Tissue. Is there a restroom down there?
Yes, it's rested to the right-hand side.
We're not necessarily gonna hear.
Well, it's all recorded.
I understand, but just I've been picking up.
You can request a copy. but you'll have to
You
buy
can
it.
request a copy. Okay, perfect. I'll do that. Because certainly the minutes we get are not very detailed.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we had opened and closed the public meeting on Farley. I recollect.
I don't think we closed the public hearing because they were submitting new plans.
Correct.
We adjourned, it, didn't we? What did we calculate? Because
They
we.
were submitting new plans.
Yeah, the area, the variance regarding
That's
the,
changed.
the,
Right, they're coming in with new drawings.
Mhm.
and they no longer require a variance for the improvements.
Right. Okay, number 2, Farley, Richard and Shelley, 4 Ridge Road, Tuxedo Park, tax map number 106-1-44, seeking relief from the following sections of the village Tuxedo Park zoning code, village code 100-8 lot area where lot size is 0.66 acres and minimum lot in the village law is 1 acre. Village code 100-8 front yard setback Ridge Road where 19-foot setback is proposed and 75 is required. Village code 100-8 side yard setback. Land where 34 is proposed, 50 is required. Village code 108.6 side yard pool where 43 is proposed, 50 is required. 100-11 lot coverage. Or 25% is maximum permitted and 34%.
I think that
Yeah,
was
well,
changed.
this was part of the,
Right.
of what was put in the papers original.
Got it.
And that's based on the original thing, and that a couple of these have changed slightly.
Yes.
Did you change them again this week?
We changed them and resubmitted, but it's for the better. As a result of the,
The last documents you sent us, though, it has not changed since those.
it's changed slightly because while, Kevin was revising the plans for the architectural plans for the BAR, the side porch became reduced in size. So we were requiring less of a side yard variance. And that's the only change from the previous set of plans.
What are you requesting?
14 feet, 6 inches.
14 feet, 6 inches?
Correct.
Said you have a new letter or,
I had a new letter, and we submitted it to John and also as a PDF. And I.
yeah, the one I have is June 19th.
This is a full new packet.
Oh, a full new packet. Okay, I got 3 packets.
I know, it's just that simple change.
Okay.
But, and here's the latest letter. Okay. So, as a result of refining the drawings for the bar, Shell decided to do a few adjustments. We changed the pool to a more narrow pool instead of 16 by 32. It's now a 12 by 30. We added a circular hot tub here. It's pulled in from the side yard a bit, so we require less of variance. It's only about 3 or 4 feet over the side yard setback line. We also reduced the size of the parking court back here and just
Right.
made.
Yeah, no, actually, that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense and it still serves the right what she wants to accomplish. We also we submitted the planting plans in this latest package that we submitted to the bar. Everything was more refined in the last week, to get ready for the bar. And, it's the exciting planting plan. This is all for for the house below. This is all an existing wooded area. We are just taking out a few trees for construction, saving most of the other trees. This is an extensive maxi rhododendron growth, and it's all eaten up by the deer. But the fence we're putting in is a 6-foot high, that invisible fence that helps keep the deer out. So maybe that's gonna go down lower, but for screening purposes, it's great because they don't need screening down low, they need it up a little higher, and it does provide a bit of screening. So the big changes in the side porch, we used to have the side porch go like this, but Kevin went out and measured all the windows and found that instead of covering over a window, he shortened the porch, and it's only 14.6. And then we just moved the steps a little.
You don't mind, we should have covered 2 of the speakers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, Yogi. Gotcha. So, both of them were covered. And I think that's about it on the changes. But like I said, we got more refined on the planting and everything. And the pool became much more elegant.
Just out of curiosity, why are these 2 trees coming down? I
Those
could
two?
see this because there's a fence. Why would these come down?
Shell didn't like them.
What?
Shell doesn't like them because they're a little very scrawny looking.
They're scrawny.
They're scrawny white pines.
Okay.
So they are really like Charlie Brown trees. I would use one for my Christmas tree because I like that kind of tree, but she she likes it more perfect. Like these are all emerald green,
Right.
arborvitaes, more formal landscape using native plants, which I know that borrowing.
Yeah, no, my only, somewhat a concern is that, there are trees being cut down from the closest neighbor, whoever that closest neighbor is.
McFadden, yeah,
Oh, then I don't care.
There are still some trees that we didn't show in here. There's a lot of saplings. This is more of a wooded
Just
area.
kidding.
I know. This is more of a wooded area than
It's a pretty wooded area.
Right.
Yeah, it is a
Because
pretty
it's all
wooded area.
sapling. Quite steep. It's very steep.
Right.
Correct. So they basically see this slope. Actually, some of it, they have their lawn on it, a little bit about right here. But
What's the bump out on the porte cochere on the top?
right here?
Yeah.
So that is. Here, that's a circular. Half turret that's on the study, and that projects up 2 stories. This would be 1 story. Let me show you what that looks like on the elevation. So from the side view, it's basically just a conical roof to complement the conical roof.
So
So
it's,
it's kind of reversed.
I got
One's
it.
perpendicular to the house and
Yeah.
this was one perpendicular to the portico chair. Just to kind of, when you're coming around the corner here.
You're gonna see it?
Softness and.
What's that?
Are you gonna see it?
I can see it from my property, but.
This gives it
Oh,
a lot
thank
of
you.
interest.
Yeah,
We talked about removing it, but it just doesn't.
I agree.
Great.
And then on the front of the house, if you're across the street, that's what.
Yeah, no, I mean, the front is, you know, right, currently it's the front that's that's nothing.
Yeah, it's.
Well, there
not
was a
appropriate
porch
for the
here
inside of the
originally
house.
that was ripped off the house. I think a lot of it, just in the course of measuring, there was a lot of windows were replaced with, especially the rear here, the kitchen.
When you
Not
walk
the
into that
traditional
house,
windows.
the outside does not match the inside. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And this helps make the outside not.
Our stuff through architecture. I think we saw this last week. There's a new covered porch there. Right now, there's a 4 foot, 4 inch by 11 foot overhang that's just cantilevered out into space. Rear elevation here. So it's this just cantilevers out over nothing, which really, from an architectural standpoint, it's not really proper, right? I mean, it should be anchored. So I put a couple of square chamfered columns, which would be just 8 by 8 wood posts, painted the same as the 8 inch half timbering on the house. And then that would go down to a wooden porch, lattice underneath, and a stair, backyard.
Jetty bays like that are very common to this style of architecture. That
They are.
would then mean you wouldn't need a column. That's not our purview. You may hear that at the BARs.
Well, I mean, you could, obviously you cantilever out. That's a big cantilever with no support underneath for a traditional house, right? Modern houses, you see it a lot.
I mean, maybe.
No, I know in Tuxedo Park, you do see it. I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think the, architecture, that the anchoring of the column helps kind of tie it out.
Notes for your next review.
Well, fortunately, we don't have to opine on that.
Just trying to be helpful.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome. Also, speaking of the BAR, I did ask John to send me the audio of a meeting, and then spoke to another BAR member, Christopher Gow, this afternoon about what was already said about this property. They were specific in their second review of this, that they were concerned about the size of the porte cochere and were willing to consider it with the understanding of the owner's requirements that aren't necessarily something they're obliged to accommodate, but that they wanted the porte cochere to be minimal. So that's another thing coming your way that may or may not be applicable to how we review this. I don't know. But it is something that they're looking at. And as much as this helps architecturally, aesthetically, this might be challenged there. It might be challenged here too, if we're looking at it and thinking we would want to offer a minimal variance on that.
Setback.
Yeah.
That a reference to the 2 cars versus 1 car? Or
I think
Or
they were
bump out.
happy to accommodate the 2 cars. I personally, as an architect, I would be pressing back that it could be a different shape to accommodate 2 cars, but again, that's not my board. But they did talk about this, and I thought in the tape that she might have been willing to give that up. I could be misremembering it.
Yeah, I mean, I think visually without it, it's just gonna look like a big, square box like you would see at a catering hall entry, which I think,
Well,
I mean, in my
train station
opinion,
has a
that.
square box.
What's that?
Train station has a square box.
But this adds a lot of charm. She really likes this, but that would
Yeah.
be, we can't talk.
I mean, there's not a variance required for from
There,
us.
it just makes
Setback.
the setback a little bit
Oh.
more. It's not much more, but it's 4 or 5 feet more. Because the setback goes,
Oh,
down
okay, it's
from
the other
here.
drawing, this, the other
This,
drawing.
this,
Let me,
here, yes, you're right. You know, my drawing's better than I do.
okay,
Yeah.
so we're talking here.
Oh, that's correct. You are
So
right.
it doesn't, this does not really make a difference.
Change the setback, it doesn't change.
That doesn't make a difference.
But if it was one front,
Well, that's forward, then that's an overall area and a define minimal. That's all.
minimal to make it look good.
That's subjective.
It is subjective, but
But if we grant that variance, they certainly could go under that.
yeah,
Right.
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 Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think, the problem really is the depth from the house and the clearance for 2 vehicles between the columns and being able to exit the vehicles. Right now, there's
Look like car number 2,
19.
exit and get out of his.
Yeah, you're 19 feet column to column inside. I mean, it'll work, anyhow, I think if they position the door, which the doors would be positioned between the columns, so I don't see any reason why that would be
Parking spots.
difficult. We're gonna have to be very careful even negotiating that, right? Because of the clearance to the columns. Have 2 large vehicles next to each other.
They both have large.
I think maybe in this direction, it could be, maybe squeezed in a little bit, but then it starts to affect the architecture front elevation as well.
And there are limitations. We couldn't go any closer to the house because this is an old coal cellar. So as part of the project, we're gonna make a green roof planting. But this is a roof right now with a coal
So
storage.
there's
in
something
there.
under there.
It's a coal storage room. That's what used to be.
But they could eliminate that.
They don't want to
But
change
don't
the
want
history of the house.
It's underground.
Yeah, it's just,
Right,
it's
so it's
like
got
a
concrete.
nice history. Why wreck it?
What's the issue with that? You can't even see it.
Because they want
You
to
can't
park their
see it.
share.
Yeah, but what's the problem with that? Oh, you mean to pull it in
Yeah.
closer to the house? And then that tree would have to.
The tree would have to-
Would have to get removed here, right?
No, I'm joking. Go back to
the driveway. Here. Like,
Well, I don't
to
know.
tuck it in closer.
So these are very subjective comments and I don't think that, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's our
To just
decision
move
to get
something
into.
a couple feet doesn't make sense. To me, doesn't make sense to.
I mean, as far as for this board goes, if we approve the variances and you shrink, that fine. Doesn't make
Thank
any
you.
difference. Okay.
And we worked hard to minimize everything. We took patio out here. We totally.
Right, well, I like this too, instead of this
Yeah,
going
we
like that.
changed
it kinda
that,
cuts
but
this
even though
down.
that wasn't part of your purview either,
Right.
because we were
Yeah.
within setbacks.
Right,
It just made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And it made it more cost effective.
So the variances are at the pool, there's small, there's side yard variance, and then this front yard variance.
Yes. And then there's a lot of non-conforming.
oh, yeah,
So in the past, it was required to
Yeah,
ask
no,
for
sure.
variances
yeah.
for all the non-conforming. The whole house is now. Is that typical?
I think our own council has advised us to at least acknowledge the non-conforming,
Right.
even though it's not being any.
But we're not approving the existing.
No, you're just acknowledging that
Acknowledging.
there is some existing non-conformance that's not being made any more non.
Right. Okay,
And that should be evidence in the site plan table.
it is.
What about the impervious surfaces? Have we?
We took out the gravel and we also reduced the impervious
Patios?
surfaces we were
That came under,
proposing.
now they're under it, it's not,
We're
it's
under.
it's not a variance request anymore.
Even though the house is so big on the lot, we're still under.
So you're down to 3 variances, right? Just
Yeah.
3.
Let me just double check. I believe it is. Front yard setback. The front yard setback, the side yard. The side yard setback.
Which is
Oh, no, we also
Yes.
have, I think, driveway. Oh, that's non-conforming. Okay, lot coverage. No, not lot coverage. It was changed. I'm sorry. And the side yard, a side yard variance to the swimming pool. Right. I think those three. Yeah, just those three. I think those- yeah. Lot coverage is under. It's reviewed. Yeah, it's, we have it clouded just because that was a change from that.
There is a section, but I guess it's pre-existing non-conforming, the last one that I cited. Regarding building on a lot under a certain size.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, this is under, everything about this property.
Because it's less than a
is-
1 acre lot.
Yeah. Apparently the allowance in this area is 0.75 of an acre and our existing condition is 0.65. 66, I'm sorry.
6.5.
It's not being made any more non-conforming. I just cited it because
We-
it's
yeah,
in the code.
It's an existing condition.
No, I mean, I visited the site and it's a problematic
Yeah.
site. Now, I think this will improve the entire area substantially.
Thank you. That's her objective.
We're still, meetings open to the public right now
Mhm.
still. Are you done? You guys
Yes.
done? Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak at this point? I think people are just hanging on from the old meeting.
Christopher Gow probably
Right.
listened to the.
Chris, you have anything?
Speak up? Maybe not.
No one has their hands up.
Right.
Peter lives across the street.
To sleep.
Watching the soccer game.
Yeah.
All right. It's nothing.
Yeah, there's no public interest.
All right, if there's no public, comment, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. For discussion?
Actors?
As I say, I applaud. I think it's a problematic site. Obviously, we want to do anything to it, they're going to have to ask for some kind of a variance. And I think what they proposed is very reasonable. I think it improves the character of it.
Are we going to vote variance by variance?
No,
No, we'll vote,
I don't-
we'll vote this print dated this date.
What's the revision on that plan?
6/25/26.
Should we support the bar's coming and already expressed opinion about porte cochere being minimal? Or is this just the facts, ma'am, and it's the number?
that's the bar's
That's the
privilege.
bar, that's just.
They
our
can deal
numbers.
with that when it
Right.
gets in front of.
So it doesn't add anything that
No.
we said deferring
No,
to the
it's-
bar.
I'm sure you would, well, no, I would not suggest doing that. They're an independent board, just like you are.
Yeah, so bar, anyway.
Oh, except that one.
The
Um,
roof on the street from
is the
me.
board ready to vote? Do you want to just real quick go through the 5 factors here?
So I've heard character of the neighborhood so far, problematic site will need a variance to do anything.
Right.
Which kind of goes to all of the factors, really, substantiality, et cetera.
Right, but it certainly does not change, it's not an undesirable, would not produce an undesirable change.
Narrowing the porte cochere, that's a non-starter.
Not our purview really to get that specific. We're either gonna let them
Well,
have that distance or not.
Narrowing the porte cochere to
Well,
one
the
car.
bar is going to be able to
Yeah.
opine on how it is designed. We're just going to allow
We're
it to
just
be a
going to
certain.
allow a variance if
Distance.
the bar,
But if,
And narrowing it does not reduce the variance
no,
based on the drawings.
right.
Potentially. Could, but that's for the bar as well. Because they have a right to go more strict than the variance we're granting them.
Design standpoint.
Right, they can't go past the variance, they can go less than the variance,
Yeah.
obviously.
So they've got a lot of room to
Right.
do their job.
Could it be achieved by another method other than the variance? Of course, Okay.
It would probably just require a different variance.
It would just require a different variance
Exactly.
because it's an undesirable lot. Is the requested variance substantial? I would not consider it substantial on a percentage basis. Yeah, anyone else? Great. Whether proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood of the district. Cutting down a few more trees, but I would have to say that it's minimal. All right, and you're putting a lot of trees back in.
They're gonna plant more.
They're gonna
right?
plant more than's coming out.
Particularly down towards
Well, that's because
Like that.
Karen likes to put plants in.
like that.
Okay.
I do like plants.
And whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, all right, which considerations shall be relevant to the decision of this board, but that shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. I personally am comfortable with anything, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the application per that dated print. What's the date?
6/25/2026.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
We don't have minutes. Desiree, you actually
Yes.
sent us the minutes to
Yep, I sent them.
that we already approved.
The June 3rd one was
What?
not. The June 3rd, can you hear me?
No, that's what we didn't get. We didn't get the June 3rd meeting. We got an older one. We got one that was with Titus.
Oh, because I sent out.
Titus. What?
It was Matthias.
What we got was Titus's, and we already had approved that.
Oh, okay. Gee, I thought I
No
sent it.
problem. We had enough things to do today.
All right. I know I sent it to John.
Thank you very
first.
much.
No
Thank
problem,
you.
everyone. We'll pick it up next
Good to see you again, Karen.
You too, Elise. Take care.
We're adjourned.
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 Doing the HVAC engineer, they're cooler outside. Design.
Probably not.
90-degree day with
Just
people in here.
really people.